Hi there. Just been looking at an event publication called Access All Areas, and they've come up with a really interesting idea about how we can get this sort of thing happening again. It's done by a guy called Melvin Ben, who is one of the more significant UK promoters of live musics. But this would work for sport, it would work for pubs, it would work for small venues and restaurants and all these places that we want to get to use. So I think it's quite interesting. I just want to share with you what this thing's looking like. Melvin comes up with the idea that he's calling the full capacity plan. And the idea is that he's looking not only at the needs of the live event industry, but to some extent the needs that the government has for everybody to really pull together in this and utilise all the opportunities that we have to bring our economy back together again. So more than one set of interests. And governments increased the COVID-19 test and tracing to over 1 million capacity, but currently it's, according to Melbourne, it's a little bit undersubscribed. So how do we get people to do it? Well, you give them a personal incentive. Everybody has missed going to shows, everybody has missed going to pubs and to restaurants, and if we can enable people to do that safely and without social distancing, well, that's the idea that is being discussed here. So at the moment we sit there with this 2 metre social distancing safe way of doing things. If people knew, and the government knew, and everybody knew that the people going to a venue or a concert were tested negative within the parameters that were viable, it could allow greater numbers of people to join together. Half the problems that sports have, pubs have, events and concerts have, is you've got to have a lot of people at these events in order to make the economics work. It's as simple as that. It may be a way to do it. So the proposal that Melbourne has is to access the entertainment and hospitality industry by increasing the testing dramatically. They want to do that by creating the incentive, i.e. if you do the test, you prove yourself negative, you can go to the show or you can go to the pub or whatever you need to do. From the government's point of view, it's going to rapidly increase the numbers of the population that are being tested, and it helps the overall process. Safe distancing isn't going to work, social distancing isn't going to work in an event environment. So if we can get around it, I can understand fully why Melbourne's doing it. So this is just showing his sort of graphic interface as to how this can happen. So you have to have the arrangements in place. It's got to be backed by the government. They've got to see what's going on. We have to have local accessibility to tests, which can be done at home. The tests get mailed off to an independent testing laboratory. The user and the person who wants to go to the concert has to download the NHS app. And once the testing data comes back on the app, they're then ready to go to the show. Once they go to the show, the app gets tested. They get all further testing when they arrive at the show, but it will enable them to go and enjoy the venue, the place, the show, the pub, whatever it is, in close proximity to their friends, knowing that everybody else in that venue is negatively tested as well, and under the same auspices that they've achieved. So I think that's interesting. This document is downloadable from the Access All Areas website. In fact, I might put a link to that on this post, so you can go and have a look for yourself if you want the further detail on how this works. But look, he's got a timeline sitting there. They've suggested that they come to agreement with the government. Would need a national awareness campaign. There's no point in doing this if people don't know about it. But I think the fact that people have been locked up and shut away in their hutches for so long now, they're really going to appreciate something that's a little bit imaginative like this and helps us to branch out a bit. So proof of concept done by a single trial, like with everything else, you've got to prove that this thing works. And then by Melbourne's timeline, that they do further events in theatres, sporting venues and restaurants, which is what I was saying. And then by November, we're off, we're running, we're up and done, and we can get back to some sense of less new normal and more old normal if they can make this work. Anyway, I thought this was interesting. I hope you like it. And as I say, I'll put a link underneath so you can come and download this doc and have a look at it as well. Thanks for watching. And goodbye.